Hey guys, what is going on? It's Simon here from Get Into Crypto, and welcome back to another Bitcoin update. Today, I really want to focus on Bitcoin's path to $100,000. Um, I've had a lot of messages over the last day, as you can imagine, with Bitcoin pushing up above 20,000, currently sat at $21,350, as you can see. Um, and I tell you what, quite a few of my friends in crypto very excited. Other friends that I've got have just turned around to me and said, "Aren't you going to sell? I think Bitcoin's going to crash soon." And yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, try and get a video out there to just explain where Bitcoin is, where Bitcoin has come from, and where it's been in the past, and how we can use the previous cycles to try and estimate where Bitcoin is likely to go over the next year. So yeah, let's jump into the BLX chart, and we're going to take a look at Bitcoin on the log scale, and I hope this is going to work. So yeah, so here we can kind of see Bitcoin's entire history from back in 2012 right the way through to present day, and I would kind of class this as being Bitcoin's first full cycle. So obviously, sort of bear market, bull market, and then peaking, and then the second cycle, bear market, bull market, peaking, and then bear market. And we have done something a little bit different this time around, but I think it's safe to say with Bitcoin now above 20,000, obviously we won't see it on here because this chart is updated once per day, but it's safe to say that we are in a bull market now for Bitcoin, and really counting this bull move back in 2011, we can kind of say this is one, two, three, four. So probably the fourth bull market for Bitcoin, or let's say sort of serious bull market for Bitcoin. So, some people would have classed this as a short bull market. Some might have classed this as being two bull markets. But as far as I'm concerned, this is the first, the fourth sort of full-on bull market. And let's just try and understand why Bitcoin is making these moves. I mean, Bitcoin is in a cycle of halvening every 4 years. So what this means is the reward that the miners get for verifying and validating the blockchain network for Bitcoin gets cut in half every 4 years. So they're halving the block rewards. Now the block reward is paid out in a amount of Bitcoin to the miner whoever is successful in adding the next block to the Bitcoin blockchain. Now that was 12 and a half prior to this May, and then we saw the halving event, which cut that into 6.25. So what this means is the open supply of Bitcoin being given to the miners is now halved, and what that also means is that there is less selling pressure therefore on the Bitcoin price, because these miners only have half of that Bitcoin left to sell. So we know that supply is going down. We know there is a fixed cap of only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin ever mined. And we know that we're sort of fast approaching that number. And we know that every 4 years, we're going to see this supply shock. So, for example, we saw one early this year. We saw one early 2016. And we saw one early 2012. And if we see what has happened every time that we've got one of these halving events, prices then appreciated very rapidly over the at least a year and a half after that event has taken place. So therefore, with that said, it feels like this is a trend that clearly looks to be continuing, and therefore we would expect prices to appreciate significantly over the next year. And again, if we're working on a 4-year cycle, we can say, well, if we go back 4 years, so where are we now? We're at the end of 2020, so at the end of 2016, look at where we are, and then look at what we did in, end of 2016, look at what we did in 2017, and then again, looking back, end of going back 4 years to the end of 2012, look what happened, and look at what we did then the following year. Sort of rapid appreciation in the price of Bitcoin, and really going into these parabolic moves, resulting in these bubbles, of which we saw two of in this cycle, and obviously we saw one larger bubble. You know, in terms of certainly the absolute prices that we hit in 2017, which we're now in the process of taking out. So I think it's just important to be mindful, you know, where we've been, and if we just look here at Bitcoin's appreciation, I mean, from peak to peak, we're looking at 738%, peak to peak here, 300, so 16. So I think we should include these two together, which gives us like over 3,000. Then we've got 1,600, and if we're saying that this is the rate of change is approximately about half, then what we can do is we could look at this and say, right, if the rate of change is going to be approximately half, if we've done, you know, call it 3,200% here, 16,000 here, then maybe we could do about 800 from peak to peak. And if we did 800%, then it takes us to around about 175, 180k dollar price of Bitcoin. So that is really what I'm targeting. It can only really be as simple as that, because we've only got a couple of data points to work off. One thing that I do think is possible, just based on the rate that we've actually got up to this 20k and the fact we've now actually broken through, is to say that maybe instead of coming down, where are we? So if we look at our previous high at the end of 2016, we tagged it, we came back down, we broke through, we came back down, we got support from the 20-week MA. Well, potentially, if Bitcoin is now just going to go completely off to the races here, and just take off basically, then maybe we're going to see something a little bit more similar to 2013. And if we were to see something like that, we could see some sort of double bubble, with us making potentially about half of that move in the first half of next year, and then retracing, consolidating, coming back to our 20-week moving averages, potentially even breaking through them. People start to panic, thinking that the market's done, and then we make a secondary high. And for me, that would look something a little bit like this. So it could be that we make our way up to around about 100k, we come back down, and then we make a final push up towards our 175, 177, there or thereabouts. So yeah, that is something. It's probably easier if I pop this out actually, so then you can actually see how this lines up with the time. So it could be that we come up to around about 100k in early part of next year. Let's call it April, we sort of come back down, consolidate a bit over the summer, and then we take another sort of parabolic run up. And for me, this can go anywhere, absolutely anywhere. But let's say, for example, we get up to around 180k in November time. I think that is a relatively plausible path for the Bitcoin price to take. And of course, it could be that we do pull back to this 20-week before we hit these peaks. Certainly, I'd expect if we do see like a larger correction that we could actually sort of come down, and these corrections are likely to be quite rapid and quite fast to the 20-week, and then that'll sort of follow us on the way up as prices really start to take off. So that is almost what I'm thinking is our most likely path to 100,000. What this means is that we're going to get to 100,000 fairly soon. Of course, we could do something a lot like this, which is probably going to be slightly more maybe expected, that we don't go so high. We maybe go to 30k, we come down, and we just sort of zigzag, and then gradually make our way up to around the 100k mark. We might not actually get as too much further higher, but certainly I think this is our path. This is our path over the next year. And I just wanted to take a look at the stock to flow model, which some of you might be familiar with, but just almost to try and reinforce the timing of where we are. Because if you just look at where we are right now, obviously we've been in red. We're starting to turn a little bit amber or orange as we are getting further away from the halvening event. So this is basically, this scale is the days until the next halving. So as we move through the colors from red to green to blue, then that means we're getting closer to the halvening. Now, if we look here, if you look at previous cycles when we are moving from red to orange, then I mean we've seen some really parabolic action in our first cycle, and then if we look at our second cycle, I mean absolutely this was the time you wanted to be buying or at least holding your Bitcoin position. I mean it would be an absolute disaster if you were to have sold your Bitcoin here, or if you were to have sold your Bitcoin here, and just think, if you had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin here or here, you would have done fantastically well over the next year. Do you know what I mean? This is a short period of time. I mean, we're looking here from the price, around about $20 going up to 1,000, and here we're looking at prices of around call it $600-700, going all the way up to 20k. So will we see something similar? Are we looking at this here and saying, look, it's a $20,000 Bitcoin, but actually, the upside might not just be 100k, but the last couple of times we've smashed through it. I mean, certainly this time, I mean, we've really smashed through it. I mean, the stock to flow was giving us 5k, and we went up to 20. So here it's giving us 100. Does that mean we can smash through it and go up to 300 or 400? It remains to be seen. But certainly, if you look at, based on the stock to flow in the days to the next halving, when you would want to be selling Bitcoin, it's definitely not now. And actually, this has been a very, very good time to buy. And we would actually say that, based on the past, you want to sell when the price is going from a sort of lime green to maybe a deeper green. So that kind of takes us to around the end of this year. To if you look at this, it's pretty much the start of 2014, or shall we say the end of 2013, the end of 2017. So for me, the smart money will be looking to exit at the end of 2021, and probably not too much sooner than that. So this kind of supports where we are. This kind of supports the fact that I'm expecting us to get to 100k sometime this year. It might be sooner, it might be later. But yeah, these are really exciting times. And of course, when I have mates of mine messaging me, sort of saying, "Oh, you might want to sell your Bitcoin," yeah, it just does make you scratch your head a bit, and you kind of think, look, obviously, I'm not going to take advice from this person, but almost how misunderstood Bitcoin is as an asset, because Bitcoin, and I think all of us that are involved in Bitcoin really understand it as simple mathematics, and it is simple supply and demand, and ultimately we have this finite asset, this scarce resource that's becoming even more and more scarce, that is attracting more and more demand, and because of this supply and demand relationship, prices can only go one way. So yeah, I think that was what I wanted to cover. I will endeavour to provide some more updates soon. I'm gonna be releasing my top 5 altcoin picks probably at the end of this week or over the weekend. So if you're interested in that, please do subscribe. Make sure you don't miss out. Also, it would really help out the channel if you could like and also add a comment. That would be fantastic. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.